Most people live their lives reading lines they never wrote. They recite family expectations, societal milestones, cultural rituals, without ever questioning whether the script belongs to them. They play their part so well they forget they're actors in someone else's theater. But then comes the Sigma. He doesn't just forget his lines, he throws the script into the fire. He refuses to perform roles that suffocate him, whether that role is the obedient son, the corporate ladder climber, or the endlessly available friend. This refusal is not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's sovereignty. It's the understanding that life is too short to live someone else's story. While others bow to scripts written generations before them, the Sigma writes his own. And that's what makes him terrifying. He is not a character in their play, he's the man who ends it. Upcoming are 10 truths about why Sigmas refuse to play pre-written roles and what that reveals about their unique power. 1. He refuses to be the family's silent actor in a generational drama. Every family has a script. The Sigma rips his copy apart. Families often operate like theaters, where everyone is quietly assigned a character, whether they asked for it or not. The obedient son, the black sheep, the overachiever, the caretaker. Most men accept these roles because it keeps the peace, because it's easier to act than to confront the weight of tradition. But the Sigma doesn't confuse roles for love or duty. He sees the trap for what it is, chains disguised as loyalty. Scripts designed to keep everyone in line. He refuses to inherit emotional debts, toxic cycles, or the silence that keeps dysfunction alive. When they hand him his script, he doesn't just hand it back blank, he rips it apart and sets fire to the stage they wanted him to perform on. His rebellion isn't loud, but it is absolute, and nothing unsettles a family more than the one man who will no longer play his part in their old drama. 2. He walks out of the corporate theater before the curtain falls. A salary can be a leash dressed as applause. The workplace loves scripts: climb the ladder, chase promotions, retire old and tired. Most workers play their roles faithfully, trading decades of life for shallow applause at retirement parties, convincing themselves the performance was worth it. But the Sigma doesn't sacrifice decades for a curtain call he never wanted. He sees the corporate theater for what it really is, a stage that rewards obedience, demands silence, and punishes individuality. While others cling to titles and paychecks as proof of worth, he sees the leash disguised as security. So he doesn't wait for the gold watch or the staged applause, he walks away long before the lights dim. The crowd calls it reckless, but to him, staying trapped in a play you never believed in is the real risk. He doesn't quit the show to be dramatic, he leaves because freedom is the only reward worth keeping. 3. He destroys the romantic script. Others beg to star in. Love written as obligation is just another role in another play. Relationships often come pre-packaged with suffocating expectations. Marriage by a certain age, kids as proof of worth, sacrifices that quietly erase individuality. Many men accept those lines out of fear of being alone, performing the role even when it eats them alive. But the Sigma doesn't audition for that part. He doesn't confuse routine with intimacy or obligation with love. He knows that love without authenticity is just another prison dressed up as romance. So he refuses to settle into scripted partnerships meant to check boxes or satisfy outside judgment. He would rather walk alone with clarity than play the role of a partner in a performance that drains him. That refusal terrifies people who cling to relationships as their only identity, because he proves you can survive and thrive without ever bowing to a script that demands your soul as payment. 4. He refuses to play the economic slave in a debt-driven script. Credit is just the scriptwriter's way of keeping you chained to the stage. Society tells men, borrow, buy, owe, repeat. Play the role of the consumer, enslaved by debt and dependent on systems that profit from weakness. Most men take the bait, shackling themselves to loans, credit cards, and the endless chase for status symbols that lose value the second you buy them. But the Sigma refuses. He doesn't confuse debt with dignity or possessions with proof of worth. He sees the trap for what it is, a lifelong script designed to keep men working, owing, and begging for freedom they'll never taste. By rejecting debt slavery, he rips entire chapters out of the script most people follow blindly. He won't pretend to be rich while secretly owned by creditors. He won't wear chains disguised as luxury. And nothing terrifies the system more than a man who steps off the stage completely, choosing real independence over an expensive costume meant to impress a crowd that doesn't care. 5. He rejects the script of endless explanations to people who don't matter. The strongest sentence is silence. Most men spend years defending their choices to family, friends, and strangers, begging for approval. But the Sigma doesn't explain himself. He knows that explanation is a performance, a way of asking permission without realizing it. He saves his words for those who deserve them. To everyone else, his silence is final. He doesn't play the role of the apologetic son, the agreeable employee, or the explainable man. His refusal to justify himself is what makes him untouchable. 6. He refuses to be the pawn in society's timeline play. Most men's lives are rehearsed milestones. The Sigma performs none of them. Graduate here, marry here, buy a house here, retire here. Society scripts milestones like stage directions, herding people into the same tired performance, ensuring no one questions the set list. Most march along, terrified of being late to a show they never even wanted to star in. But the Sigma doesn't step on those marks. He tears them up. He refuses to let someone else's stopwatch dictate the pace of his life. He knows time isn't a race against the crowd, it's a war against regret. That's why he spends his years building what matters, creating on his own terms, living in ways that leave a mark long after the applause dies. While others panic about keeping up with the timeline, he walks his own path without looking over his shoulder. And nothing confuses society more than the man who refuses to hit his cues because his script was never theirs to write. 7. He refuses the role of the crowd's emotional sponge. People want you to bleed on command. The Sigma doesn't audition. Most people want someone to absorb their frustrations, guilt, and fear. Families, workplaces, and friend groups script one man to play the emotional sponge. But the Sigma doesn't absorb what isn't his. He cuts those strings. He refuses to bleed on command. He refuses to carry burdens that others scripted for him. And while they call him cold, in truth, he is sovereign, choosing when and where to spend his emotional currency. 8. He rejects the script of status symbols as proof of worth. The man who needs a crown to feel royal is no king. Cars, watches, titles, these are props in society's cheap play. Men are told to buy them, flash them, measure themselves by them, or risk being invisible. Most fall for it, mistaking possessions for proof of worth. But the Sigma doesn't waste breath or money performing with props. His worth is weight, not decoration. He doesn't need borrowed shine or staged jewelry to be seen. His presence speaks without labels, without glitter, without price tags. And when he walks into a room stripped of props yet carrying an energy that can't be bought, it unsettles everyone still clinging to their costumes. Because deep down, they know he's what they're all pretending to be real. 9. He doesn't play the script of the ever-available friend. Availability is the cheapest role you can play. The world scripts certain men as the ever-available friend, the one who always answers the phone, always shows up, always sacrifices. The Sigma doesn't play that role. His loyalty is earned, not exploited. When people realize he doesn't bend to their scripts of constant availability, they call him selfish. But his boundaries are his sovereignty. He refuses to be written into roles where his time and energy are disposable. 10. He ends the script entirely by writing his own. The Sigma doesn't just quit the play. He builds the theater. The ultimate refusal isn't walking off stage. It's building a stage of your own. The Sigma doesn't just reject the scripts handed to him, he writes his own. His life is authored, not performed. That's why the world both hates and fears him. He proves you can stop acting, stop auditioning, and start living. And once you've seen him do it, you can't unsee the truth. Everyone else is just playing roles in plays they never wrote. On a final note, he doesn't just exit the play, he ends it. The Sigma male is not a rebel without cause. He's a sovereign without need for applause. While the world auditions for roles they never asked for, he refuses to perform. He burns the script, exits the theater, and writes his life from scratch. That's why he is dangerous. That's why he is free. And that's why the crowd, stuck on stage, will always resent him.